to another live edition of the Juicebox Heroes podcast. We'll see how much longer we have for that name, but as always, I'm your guy PK. We got the Dubon Fan Club president Chris is in the house. Browse is here, and we got the man behind the glass, Andrew. So what's been going on, fellas?
Man, just sneaking through another. Really, it was only a couple days since we last got on. So there's been one, maybe two things that has really went down in the last couple days, and then pretty much it's been a game of hurry up and wait. So that's about it, man. Ross, what you got?
Yeah, just a little bit of news. We got some awards that got handed out, but other than that, just a little bit of a hot stove stuff that's starting to rear its ugly head, and then yeah, that's literally been about it. So I say we just jump into it.
Yeah, no, it's been definitely slow, but that's basically what you expected this time of the year. Um, like you said, Bryles, we had the awards out. Major League Awards. We can go over that in a minute. Just kind of touch on it if y'all want to. Of course, we had the news with the stadium earlier this week that we touched on with the new stadium name change. We threw a little poll out on our Facebook page. Got some good little feedback there, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Um, I guess the big news, air quotes, is that Bregman declined his qualifying offer,
What?
which
No way.
shockingly,
No way.
shockingly that was expected. Um, like I said, we all knew he was going to do that. He wouldn't. He's not. He wouldn't accept that. So now he can field any offer. Um, we'll just kind of see how it plays out. It's going to be a long next few weeks. I'm just kind of waiting to see what the first domino is that drops. See who's going to kind of set the market, and then we go from there. So, guys, y'all take it. Whatever you guys want to start with, let's go, and off we go.
Yeah, from everything I'm hearing is well, not hearing. Nobody talks to me, so everything I've been reading and listening to is pretty much the domino that we're waiting to fall on Bregman is going to be Juan Soto,
Yeah,
right? So every because it looks like everybody who's in on Juan Soto is also gonna also has Bregman as like their backup, or as they're also interested in him too. So really, we're waiting on Juan Soto. That's kind of where we're at.
which is kind of expected. I mean, he's the big
Yeah.
name, right? So,
Well, and one of the things that we were talking about with Bregman, or at least it's been in the news, is like, oh, the Yankees are going to get in, and we all know like the Yankees have unlimited money, right? And this is one of the things I was texting back and forth with you guys, is that the Yankees came out today, and this is hot stove stuff, obviously, but even though Cole declined his offer or his option, excuse me, with the Yankees, they want to make him a Yankee for life. So I understand they have unlimited money, but they want Soto and they want Cole. So it's like, can they even afford to get Bregman? Yes, of course they can. I don't know what kind of penalties or even tax bracket they're looking into if they try to get all three of them. But I pretty much think that's going to take them out of the Bregman market. So if you look at that compared to like everybody else that's trying to get him, I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. But this is so early in the off season. We have no idea what's going to go. We already saw what Boris came out and said, and he's like, well, he's kind of looking at 11 years and $355 million. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, nobody's going to pay him till he's 41 years old. That's not going to happen. But anyway, other than
I mean,
that's I think the biggest thing.
you say that, but Trey Turner, I think he was about same age as Bregman. He got the 11-year deal from Philadelphia. So like, is there a team that's willing to go 11 to just like one up everybody else? There isn't until there is. So like, I get it. Would any other team realistically give Bregman an 11-year deal? The answer should be no. But there's always going to be that one team that thinks that Bregman is the last piece of the puzzle that's going to put them over. And I think a lot of GMs that are this close to being a World Series winner will say, "Listen, man, we'll deal with we'll deal with the back 4 or 5 years, but if he gets us one title, then it's worth it." So yeah, I mean,
I, I was kind of hoping that everybody learned their lesson from Albert Pujols and what he did to the Angels. And actually, not just even Albert Pujols, but I mean, look at him and look at Josh Hamilton and I don't know, a handful of guys the Angels tried to get. Rendon. I mean, that's still a contract that they are just absolutely getting crushed on. So I would hope that there are teams that understand that, hey, look, we're not going to bow down to Boris and say, like, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and pay him 350 plus $1 million to get one World Series. It's now, is it possible? Yeah, Chris, I totally agree with you. I'm not going to put it past any team, especially like the Phillies, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees. I mean, some of these teams that are just more than happy to spend whatever money they've got. But at the same time, I can see why if that's going to happen and we pass, like, I'm not going to be heartbroken about it, to be honest with you.
Well, you would think that going back to like you said about the Angels, right? But you would think these teams would learn by now that these 10, 11, 12-year deals, like they're good for the front end of the contract. Those players start getting up in age, and then injuries, and their bats slow, and like all the natural progression of father time happens, and then you're way overpaying for these players that are doing nothing for you from, the standpoint that you want them to. So that falls into Chris's thing where you would think these teams would be smart enough to know, "Hey, I'm going to do this," but someone will do it because that's the splash they want. That's the one up. When really, if you think about what the Astros do, now granted they're a lot smaller market, obviously, than Anaheim, LA, Boston, New York. Crane actually does. I think he does it smart with those 5, 6 year deals, right? I mean, you capitalize on
Yep.
whatever's left of their prime, right? You're going to give them fair market, but you're not going to give them, the 10, 11 years that's going to cripple your team. Again, it doesn't really affect those higher echelon teams because they have such deep pockets. Where Houston has to, we're not that tier. So we can't go 10, 11 years, right? So I think someone's probably going to be stupid enough to pay Bregman, potentially pay Bregman the 10, 11, 12-year deal that he wants. Um, I just don't. I saw something about Toronto. It's a lot of the East Coast teams. A lot of the AL East is what I've seen. Boston, New York, Toronto. Those are the three that I've seen for him. But I just think, you would think these teams would learn not to pay these guys these long ass deals with massive contracts because of what you're not getting at the end of the contract. But it's not
yeah,
my money; it's theirs. It's going to keep happening. All these salaries, all these annual or not annual, but all these total contracts, like they're just going to keep getting higher and higher, right? Because baseball's just going to keep making so much money with revenue that they can afford to, pay these guys just more and more and more and more. So
yeah, and it's kind of, just thinking about what you just said, it kind of blows my mind that Houston is not is I don't want to call them a small market team, but they're about a mid tier, maybe upper mid tier, as far as like markets. But it blows my mind how
right,
what the third or fourth biggest city in this country, right?
Right.
Is
We
able
should be.
to. Yeah, I mean, we house what I mean. The only really professional team we don't house is hockey, right? Um, and that we're considered not part of the top echelon as far as um, you know, spending money. Now, again, I'm not saying let's jump to that tier and let's give Bregman, 11 years. I think that if the asking price is above 8 years, I say you walk on it. I mean, just because, like, again, if we're gonna play at the upper echelon of the mid tier market, then that's, like what PK said, that's gonna, for the Astros, that would kind of cripple their payroll. I mean, you look at what's going on right now. You've got a guy making 18, and you've got a guy who you sent down to AAA, who's making what 12, 13. You're looking at 30 million right now, and that's essentially crippling this offseason because we have to wait until next offseason for those contracts to drop. So, I mean, like it's just kind of baffling that like Houston. I would assume that we should be a top market team, and again too, I mean, it also plays into like what PK said. That you don't want to just give all these ridiculous contracts, right? I mean, there's enough proof in the pudding, as they say. Look at Pujols, look at Rendon, look at Robinson Cano is another one.
That was a big one
Uh,
too.
That was a huge
and
one.
so the timeline shows that these 10-year deals. Now again, Soto's a different animal, right? Soto's 25, so you could give him 12 and probably still get 80, 75 to 80% of that contract value as far as his production, right? So like you have to kind of look like, and again, there are freaks of nature as far as like you look at Bregman. Bregman's like what 28, 29, right? So if you give him a 10-year deal, probably about halfway through that contract, you're not going to get the production for the money that you paid for.
Hmm.
So, and again, and I know that it's tough for us Astros fans. I mean, we've seen like Gary Cole walk. We talked to Brett with Locked On Astros. He told us the whole backstory, which I think I read when I did end up reading that book by Evan Drellich. I think it was Winning Fixes
Drillage, yeah.
Everything.
You read a book?
So yeah, well, audiobook.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that's fair. But I mean, like, so, but you look at Correa. I mean, Correa is another one that you got, and again, it's hard to trade somebody when you're a World Series contending team, right? So, like, we look at this the state of the farm system, right? And you make the argument. I mean, like you have to kind of look at devil's advocate, right? Because it's like, well, if this farm system was so crappy, how did the Space Cowboys just go out there and go win the AAA championship? And it's like, well, that's fair, but name me one AAA player outside of Blanco that came up this past season and like blew the roof off Minute Maid, or should I say Daikin? So, you know, it puts you in a tough situation. I mean, like I'm starting to like veer more towards he's not coming back, and I'm almost kind of veering more towards the fact that I think it's a better play for the Astros if he doesn't come back. Now, I'm not saying that you could put Shea Whitcomb in there and he's gonna be Alex Bregman 2.0, but with the multiple holes that you have on this team, right? If you re-sign Bregman, maybe you have enough to bring, a fourth or fifth, guy in the rotation to, solidify your rotation. But then you still, I mean, you're left hoping that Chas McCormick has a bounce back year. You're hoping that this is finally the year that Jake Myers puts it all together. You're hoping that the platoon of Caratini and Singleton at first, kind of replicates what they did this past season. There's a lot of hoping with, um, you know, there's a lot of hoping for next season if you bring back Bregman, right? So that's the only thing that I kind of like. I feel like you could use that money and again, I'm not saying you're going to go sign Juan Soto if you don't get Bregman, or you're going to go bring in Teoscar Hernandez, but you can improve in other spots to overall bring up the team. So I mean, it is what it is. It's still early. We still have to see what happens. So I'll pass the buck.
Well, here's what I'm hoping, and I don't think you're wrong by any means on any of that, but I am hoping that we figure out what the Jake Meyer situation out there is, what the Chas McCormick situation out there is, but even more importantly, what I'm hoping is that Dana Brown and Crane can figure out something close to what the Dodgers did with Otani. Maybe they get a creative contract. And I'm not saying backload the whole thing, but I'm saying, okay, we've got Abreu on the books. We've already got what's his name?
Montero.
Pitcher. Montero, thank you. We got him on the books. So we're already eating both those. We already know that it not necessarily is going to fit into the budget for next year, right? Or even year two. But can you backload something like that to where you've got an Otani quasi style contract to where we're not eating that much? You still have room on the books to do some other things. And once again, Chris, just like you were saying, we've got other things we got to worry about. We got to worry about the outfield. We got to worry about first base. We still have some pitching stuff that we've got to take care of, and that's depending on how many starters actually come up and are healthy. And we got to worry about the bullpen too. But we've been talking about this whole time, like what are we doing with Ryan Presley? Is he going to get shipped out of town? Is he going to accept a team to get shipped out of town too? There's so many question marks coming up right now. It makes it very difficult to say like, hey, yeah, can we fit Bregman on the books? Maybe so, maybe not. But I'm hoping these guys are smart enough to like figure out a way to make it work to where we can have our cornerstones of Altuve, Bregman, both on the infield. You're going to have Pena there for a while. We're not even going to have to worry about him, and then figure something out at first base.
I think I still
Yeah,
think I still think it's one or the other. I don't think there's a way. I I don't like the idea of a Shohei Otani esque contract because again it's still if it LA is a different monster because they have all the money. It cripples you towards the end whenever you do have to pay all that money. You're probably it's just I don't we can't compete with those type of salaries now. You know we've got a pretty high payroll already, right? We have to get down. I mean but I still think and I think this is what makes Jim Crane pretty good. Is where he stays in his lane. He knows what he can do, what he wants to do, contract wise. Like Chris was saying, like 8 years is the max. If it's 8 years or less, let's run with it. If it's 8 or more, okay, sucks to suck. Right, on to the next. Um, I just don't think you can get too creative with these contracts. I don't think I would, unless you want to do like a Bobby Bonilla where you pay him $1 million for 40 years. You
Till
know,
he's
yeah.
like 60.
you know what I
Well,
mean. I mean,
yeah,
it would be cool. I just don't know if I don't know. I mean, that was just I had never heard of. I'd only heard of Bonilla and now Shohei as those two kind of deals.
well,
Like
you
where
have
they just
Christian
don't.
Yelich too. Christian Yelich did one of his
So,
extensions like that.
well, that guy fell off too, so it worked out really good for him. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I still, I think I just kind of like, I feel like, I think about heart of hearts that Bregman's probably going to go. That he's just, I just don't think the play I think is to keep Tucker from an age perspective. I think that's what I think. Because you're going to lose no matter what you do. You're losing no matter what. Whether you keep Bregman and the only thing you can do is you can move Tucker and get assets back. That's probably the only thing you could do, right? To where you kind of win, right? Because if we sign Tucker, then we're losing Bregman for nothing, and now we're at a Shea Whitcomb type deal or going out and trying to find someone to play third, some mid level guy. So, um, I don't know. I really don't know where I'm at with the whole Bregman thing, to be honest with you, because I see it equally both ways. What you can do, but I think in a perfect world, yeah. But I was like, they figure out something with the contract, and they do some kind of deferred thing, and it's something new that the Astros do, and they set a precedent for when they really want to keep a player. But history has shown that they don't do that, unfortunately. you
yeah.
know,
No, I mean,
No, well,
it,
I think this is brand new too, though. Other than Bobby Bonilla, like you were talking about.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just like if you look at like how would I mean, just off the top of my head, how would a Bregman Shohei like contract where work to where not only you keep Bregman here, but you have the extra money to go out and address other needs, right? I mean, so like let's say the magic number for Bregman is 30, right? So you would have to essentially, let's say it's an 8 year deal, and it's 8 years, you pay him 15, or they do something where it's like 16 or something like that. And then after the 8 years, you're paying him the other 15, right? I mean, but still, for a team that's considered, a smaller market than, New York or Los Angeles. I mean that's 15 million that is dead. That's dead cap space, or not even cap space. That's dead money.
What's
I mean,
how
Yeah,
old
but
is
it's luxury
Shohei?
tax space. I
How
know
old
what
is
I
how old is
show.
Shohei?
Oh, I don't know. I think he's had to be like 27, maybe.
he's 28 and
Okay.
Bregman just turned 30. So
Okay. So
that's
now
why they
Brett.
were
Okay.
saying, yeah, they were just saying that's why they were saying like an 11-year contract would put him at 41, and
Yeah.
why the hell would anybody sign that?
That's what I'm getting at. Like, you're not going to get the same production at 41, obviously, that you're going to get at 30. I mean, Bregman is not. I mean, he's a superstar, right? Like he is, but he's not like a superstar. He's not like a Soto or. I mean, no one's like Shohei, right? Like nobody really is. But
Yeah.
you probably only have, like, let's be honest. How many more years do you think Bregman has at the level that he was last year or the year before? Probably
Elite. I would say four.
four, right? That's what I was.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say I was
That
gonna
was
say 5,
the exact number I
but I
had
mean
was
still
four
we're
more
we're the
years.
same like
The same thing, right? 4 or 5
Yeah.
years, right? So now you're paying,
If-
years 4 to 5, or I'm sorry, years. I got to do math. Hold up, years 6 to 7, right? On a declining player. It
he's
just
a
I don't
DH
know.
at that point.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do with
well,
Jordan? That means Jordan's got to move.
yeah. I mean, so it's like the way you look at it. I mean, there's no feasible way outside of you're sacrificing. And again, like I don't know how much money they have before they hit X tier or whatever. So I'm not saying that they have the number I'm hearing is 30, right? So I don't know if that's 30 right now or that's 30 not including, in addition to what they would not be spending on Bregman. So you spend, let's say it is 30 right now before they hit the next luxury tax. You give Bregman 30, right? I mean, that's pretty much it, you know?
Well, the other thing though too though is one of the things that LA was banking on. I mean, not necessarily completely with this Otani deal because that's just insane. But they're also banking on the luxury tax going up every single year. Now, is it going to hit that tier when Otani's 38 years old?
So,
No.
so that's what I was getting at earlier, right? Like the money is going to just keep increasing, and
Yeah,
so these contracts will be they're going to run with those with the increases to the luxury tax,
Right.
right? So you're going to have these outrageous contracts. You're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Someone's going to have $1 billion contract within the next probably 4 years.
It's going to be
probably.
freaking
I
ridiculous.
mean,
Yeah.
but if you think about it too, it's like we're talking about Bregman. I mean, like, if we're not in the ballpark for Bregman, then what makes you think we're going to hang for Kyle Tucker? Because I guarantee you, Kyle Tucker is going to ask about. I mean, I'm kind of
The
shocked.
same.
I'm kind of shocked. Bregman's camp, Boris, is asking for 11 because that's what I would expect for Kyle Tucker. So, I mean, it's just it's one of those things where I mean, like I said, it's catch 22, right? I think at the end of the day, and like I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Brawls or PK. You brought up Presley, right? Presley's not going to waive a no trade. He's not going to waive his no trade clause unless he's going to a contender, right?
Right.
So he's not going to go get traded to Miami. And on top of that, you got to think because of how of a lackluster season he had this past season, his trade value has decreased. So, and I understand Baltimore needs a closer, but Baltimore is not going to trade you their top talent for a 35 or 36-year-old closer who had almost a 5 ERA, right? So if it was like a hater with those numbers, maybe you have a chance of getting an upper tier echelon prospect. So you're kind of at that crossroads where it's like, okay, we've got one more year of Presley. Is the return that we're going to get for Presley for what he is as of last season, is that worth us trading him to create yet another hole in the bullpen for two guys that are probably going to start the season? Maybe one of them's going to be in double A, the other one's going to be in single A. We'll see him in about 3 years, right? Who knows? So like I do think that like you kind of have to look at it as if people are going to ask about Tucker, and I know this is going to like hurt a lot of people's hearts, I think you have to entertain anything at this point because if you go all in on Bregman, right? Like we've been talking about, you're sacrificing, you're cutting off your nose to, in spite of the face. So you keep Bregman, everybody's happy because we have Bregman. But then it's like we don't. I mean, unless Crane is going to jump into the next tier or two of the luxury tax, then we're pretty much stuck with the same team minus a couple other pieces that we had last year. And I think, like I said, we've all identified it. Everybody that's watching this, everybody that's watched any of these games this past season, knows that there's a lot of holes in this team. So, I mean, at this point, like if it's up to me, I'm kind of at the point where you make a solid offer for, let's say, 6 years. Let's say it's six at 180. And if he balks at that, then it's like, listen, I know that this is a fan favorite. I know this is a guy that could have been, Biggio Bagwell without Tuve part two, right? But again, you have to look at how much bang for our buck are we going to get? Or are you going to run into year six, year seven of this contract, and we run into a Jose Abreu situation? And I'm not saying Bregman's going to fall off that much, but you don't know, right? So, I mean, like it's a crapshoot, man.
No,
On
look,
this.
it's a big crapshoot, and look, the contract starts no less than what Matt Chapman got. So what was that, 5 for 185, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
think it's 6 for 185.
6 for 185. So that's where it starts. That's where this thing starts. And look, we can clearly go a whole freaking episode about Bregman and Tucker and contracts and what are they going to do and who, the holes and this and that. Um, and I don't know if you guys know, but we have a few more months before to talk about it. So let's put a pin in it for a minute. Let's move on to what's happened this week. A recap, just in case someone that's listening was living under a rock for the last few days. The Juice Box, aka Minute Maid, has changed names to Dyken Park. Um, that will take effect in January officially, and then opening day, Mr. Crane has. Well, I guess we'll reveal what is going to be in back of the rail car out in left center. So I'll be looking forward to see what he's going to do there. But with that, we've had some questions on our Facebook page and outside people that we just know and talk to and who listen and we work with or whatever have asked, guys, what are you going to do about your podcast name? I know I've asked that same question inside my house. We've come up with there's been a trending favorite in our house on what it is, and so Chris, I don't know if you have some of the results from the polls or what you guys think. I mean, it's kind of a like Juicebox Heroes goes really well. Like it really does. Like, and I'm actually really proud. I'm actually really proud of my friend Chris for coming up with that name because it
So am I.
it
So am
was
I.
yeah.
it was really
Um,
impressive. So there's several names out there. Uh, Thank you, Andrew. And I don't know. Let's just see what you got, man. Throw something out there.
yeah. So, I mean, obviously, the easiest transition would be to go from juice box to ice box, right? And I guess that's just the overwhelmingly like apparent, like I guess with Daikin, the theme is cold, frozen, whatever. So again, that would be the easiest transition. I know I've played around with like some potential new logos, and then I want to say the next day, I think it was like Wednesday, maybe Thursday. No, today's Thursday, so it was definitely yesterday. I said, maybe we should do something like the Frozen Stros podcast, just to kind of like throw the Astros in there until the whole like icebox thing actually becomes a little bit more, integrated with the city. Um, so I did ask him like, hey, we've been kicking the tires on, on this potential name change. And let me find it because I posted this on multiple groups. And let's see. Y'all do some talking until I find it.
Talking. Yeah, no.
It's
So
Okay, so here we go. I found it. There you go.
yeah,
Save
see,
it.
me and
There you
Browse
go.
held it down for that split second.
Thanks, I appreciate
yeah,
it.
we got your back.
We got your back,
Yeah.
man. No awkward
So
silence here.
yeah, David Garcia said the frozen juice heroes. Not terrible. Not bad. Um, Christopher Craig said hard to beat the juice box. Yeah, I mean,
It is, man.
the thing is that like again, at the end of the day, this is a brand new thing. Again, I remember people losing their minds when the it became Minute Maid Park, right? So I think it's just really hard and it's that ingrained because it's been here for so long. So Brandon Fraser says Icebox goes hard. I mean, so that's cool. Joey Ruiz says Daikin in your mouth. Uh, I like that one.
I don't know if the Dyking in Your Mouth podcast is going to work out very well.
Yeah,
That was good.
that's a good one. I
Nice
like
try,
that one.
though.
That's a good
I
one.
give you props for that.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite have the same ring.
And then
Man.
Collins M. Phillip says, I don't like the cold theme names. Implies that the team has gone cold. I'm like, that's fair.
Well, their bats did for a while, so
So, I mean, like I said, we're still kind of kicking the tires. I mean, we're not going to rush in anything and, like, say, hey, next episode, we'll unveil this new thing. I mean, like, again, you know, it's- you know,
I'm sorry. That one was so good, dude. Still,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like, I mean, we're still gonna kick the tires. I mean, like, and I know in my house, the Icebox Heroes has a unanimous vote. Um, I asked one of our biggest fans, Benjamin, and he says he likes the Icebox Heroes over the Frozen Strohs podcast. So I have yet to the handful of people I've asked it to, I have yet to have anybody say they like the Frozen Strohs podcast over the Icebox Heroes. So the only thing is like, man, if we jump the gun and say we're the Icebox Heroes, and let's say for whatever reason there's like a different like theme, we're gonna look pretty stupid.
or if
Well, the
Daikin
only
backs
thing-
out, or if Daikin
Yeah,
backs
or
out.
Daikin backs out.
All like last minute, they're like, "Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what?
we were
Just kidding.
on that."
Just
It's like,
kidding.
we're back, baby. Juice Box Heroes are back.
My
So, yeah,
only
Go
my
ahead,
only
Bob.
say on like the Icebox Heroes was it reminds me of hockey more than baseball. That was the only thing that I thought about.
Yeah.
And not to be Debbie Downer on it, man. I'm sorry.
No, look. So whenever we here at the house, Frozen Strohs got a lot of love, here at the house, and then I showed Lindsay the little graphic you made, Chris, that had Icebox,
That was
heroes on it,
sweet.
and it was dirty, like it was good. And then she was like, you know what, like I kind of like that one. I think I like that one better. So Icebox Heroes has been getting the more love, around here.
Yeah.
I know Andrew posed the question to us, during the week in our group chat, like, hey, why the icy, why the icy or cold thing? We made fun of him because, that's what we do, because that's just what we do. But,
Yeah. It's
you
true
know,
story.
I have been seeing on X, Twitter, whatever, that like Icebox has been the name that's kind of being thrown out there for the nickname, right? Like
Yeah.
not just by us, by just people with the not with the Astros. We know what I'm saying. People that follow the Astros or cover the Astros. Like the Icebox has been the nickname. And I think, like you said, Chris, it's kind of just easy to move from the juice box to the Icebox, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're having some rebranding. I mean, we are, but it's not like it really is a hit the edit button on all of our platforms and change the name. Like that's really it if we do it. So, I think we just, we love the feedback from everyone that on our Facebook page. Brandon Fraser, is that that to do with the Daikin in your mouth?
No, that was I forgot his first name. His last name was Ruiz though.
All right, Ruiz,
Fantastic.
that fantastic name. But I mean, I'm gonna be laughing about that the rest of the night. No, I think it's just kind of fun to kick some ideas around and see. We haven't decided on anything. I mean, hell, we've only been doing this for one season, so I think we kind of just wait and see, see what we can come up with, and maybe we just stay, at Juice Box. Um, who knows? Who knows? But it's definitely a good conversation to have with, between us and then between you guys that listen and follow our Facebook page. So we appreciate everyone, chiming in. It's a damn good thing we didn't get any swag though, if we
Yeah.
are changing the name. So that worked
We
Well,
were
out
that close.
really. That
yeah.
worked out really freaking good. So
Yeah. I mean, it's just like this. I just feel like if we are to change the name, it's gotta like be at that level or above the Juice Box Heroes.
it's gonna be
So,
tough, man.
and
Because
it's just
I feel like Icebox or Icy this or Frozen this, like I don't know how many are going to actually change. I'd be curious to see how many other podcasts. I was trying to think of a few other ones, right? Just basic podcasts, like what their name is, and you have the two that Brett's with, right? I mean, those, one of them's a national one, the other one's a local one, but their name, Brett's the what? Back to the bullpen, right? Like
yeah,
doesn't matter what the name
Right.
is, doesn't matter what the stadium does, city does, doesn't matter, right? It's just a generic thing. So we obviously want to be different. We want to make our own name, and the Juice Box Heroes is a really good one. It's going to be hard to beat that name,
yeah,
So, but
Well,
we look, we still to this day, 2024, we haven't played in the dome since 1999, and anytime you talk about dome foam, you automatically go back to exactly where you were, right?
yeah,
And I'm not saying that Juice Box Heroes is like that, but Minute Maid is kind of like that because we didn't have that run with Enron as long as we've had with Minute Maid. You know what I mean? And then we have all
yeah,
these memories of the last 10 years of Minute Maid and mid 2000s when we were excuse me in the World Series for the first time. And that run we had then. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what we're gonna do. Definitely if you guys keep coming up with some good names, just make sure you send them to us because it's it's still fun to see the names.
yeah. No, it is, and I mean, I think even 5 years down the road, right? I mean, like dome foamers, uh, or dome foam, I think people will still, be able to identify Dyken Park as the juice box because it's been that for what 15, 20 something years. I don't know, but I mean, so like even if like even if we don't find something, well, yeah, no one's gonna call it Enron Andrew because of everything that went down with Enron.
Yeah,
So
it was a complete
uh,
disaster.
yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is that like even if we can't find, you know, a name that's at that's at that level, I think that within this Astros community, if you hear juice box, you know what it's about, right? You know what it pertains to. I mean, if somebody said, we're the the shooting star domers, I mean, you're gonna know what that is, right? You're gonna know. I mean, if you're as old as we are, you'll know what that is. So like I think regardless of where we go with the name, if we don't do a change, people are gonna know what the juice box is, regardless of what's the name of the park.
Well, are they gonna know what the shooting star domers is though?
I said if you were our
I
age,
would hope so.
golly,
Yeah, no,
man, you got a tough crowd tonight.
How
no,
long?
it's
How
and
long have you been sitting on that one?
A minute or two.
A minute or two. Okay.
Yeah,
but if you think about the nostalgia, I mean, you're right. It's like everybody thinks about the dome foam, right? It's like I remember like being in high school or right out of high school, like trying to sneak into Lefty's bar at the Astrodome and try to get a dome foam,
Right.
and then going and paying $5 and sitting in the outfield right next to the
Rainbow seats.
cannon with general admission,
yeah,
Get those
which was
rainbow seats,
literally a
baby.
dude in like a general's outfit from the Civil War shooting a cannon off in the outfield. So it's like, yeah, I know not everybody's going to be able to relate to all those things because yeah, I'm old, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it, do we have to change it right away? No, I definitely do want to keep up with it though, And I wasn't trying to give you a hard time about the Icebox Heroes and thinking about like hockey and stuff like that. At the same time, it's like let's try to figure out the best way to do it. And I agree with you, Chris and PK. Like, let's see what the fans want to do. Let's see what everybody else wants to do, and just roll from there.
Yeah, and then well, for real, I know I say this a lot, but we'll for real this time. Once we decide on what we're doing with the name, come out with some gear because I'm ready to have some gear.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
know my
looking for some
personal.
icy gear.
Yeah, I know
Good.
my personal goal for season two, which I guess technically this is season two because we're in the off season,
Not
but
really,
hopefully,
not
I mean, not
technically.
really, but not really. But
Not
my
yet.
goal is to hopefully by the time opening day happens, we know what we're doing. We have the merch, or at least we have the merch, And if there's a demand for it, it'll be there. So, you know, my year two or my season two goal is to be a lot more squared away than what we are now. So,
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think that is the goal, and we want to thank everyone that listens all the time and comments and interacts with us. The plan for the real season number two, come spring training, come February, is to be a little bit more active on our platforms, a lot more interaction with everybody. Um, we had a year of knocking over mics and internet not working and doing it off of cell phones and inside restrooms and trucks and
don't forget not going live on Facebook.
not going live on Facebook while we thought while we while we
After 100
thought
times.
while we thought we were going live and then going live and then sitting here
And take 7.
not looking at the camera and all kinds of good shit. So it's been good, man. It's been a good run. So I'm ready to, see what this off season has. See what we're gonna do with this roster, and man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, like I said, so the only other real news we have is they put Colton Gordon on the 40-man roster. For those who know who Gordon is, pretty good lefty, pitched pretty well down in Sugarland. And that was just more to save him from being taken in the Rule 5 draft. But that's it. And there's your Astros transactions for the last week. Guys, I don't know when are we trying to do Black Friday? Is that when we're gonna try to come back on?
Black Friday in the morning.
Black Friday in the morning, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
So, guys, you guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Hope it's everything that you hope it's be. I am on my way out of town for the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 days. I don't know. So for me, you guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving, PK Bryles, and I will see you guys back on Friday.
And remember, if you're frying a turkey, don't put the oil more than halfway in the barrel.